Alright guys, we have to talk about Ubisoft Forward 2021. Just concluded about 2 hours ago and it was a disaster. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself every year, getting hyped up about those E3 shows, and then they are just a disappointment. They nearly always are. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to share my thoughts on the show as a whole, and then I'm going to go through each game that they talked about and share my opinions individually. But I just really have to get this off my chest, how disappointed I am with this show from Ubisoft. Because Ubisoft is a company that has nearly 20,000 employees, right? And the games they show, they follow outdated game concepts, they look bland. And I don't mean outdated in the sense of graphics necessarily or scale or something. They're outdated in the mechanics because they don't evolve them. They're outdated in terms of innovation. They're outdated in terms of world building and script writing. And there is no outstanding art. They're doing beautiful art. If you look at the concept art for Assassin's Creed and stuff like this, it's absolutely beautiful, it's magnificent, but it has no character. It looks bland, it looks flat. If you look at a game like Elden Ring, for example, we've just seen the gameplay trailer. The graphics don't look great in my opinion, but it doesn't really matter because you can see there's a vision behind it. The trailer gives you goosebumps because you're just from the trailer so sucked into this world and into this mysterious differentness, right? It just feels different. It feels like something I haven't seen before, a world like that. It's really weird, so I want to play it. It encourages me to explore it. And there are so many more examples. It's not just Elden Ring. I mean, there's like, I don't know, God of War maybe. Even a game like No Man's Sky follows a very strong creative vision. Someone had a vision for this world, and everything they do feeds towards that vision, that original vision they had. And it feels like the visions for games that Ubisoft has is like watered down by boardrooms and focus groups, and no, we can't do that, you know, we can't have this monster have like an elephant trunk. The focus group has kind of said they dislike that, so we kind of need to change it. Maybe we could just come up with something else. I obviously haven't worked for Ubisoft, but I have worked for similar big creative companies, and it is often horrible how political they are and how even creative decisions are often made top down and by people wearing suits rather than creatives. And I think that's probably, I mean, I'm speculating here, but it looks very much to me like this is a core problem at Ubisoft. I'm sure they have a lot of talent and people who could have great visions, but their games lack the daring element. They never dare anything. Everything is like polished and neatly rounded along the edges. And I don't mean polished in terms of the game is finished, right? We've all seen what happened with Breakpoint. It was an absolute disaster. But I mean that anything that would be daring or bold or just controversial or strong is removed from the game. It's just taken out. And because of all that, games like Recon Breakpoint are failing so miserably because they follow an old concept that everybody's played a million times. They're buggy and unfinished. Sure, you can take screenshots that look magnificent, and it's a beautiful game. The guys in the art department did a great job as always at Ubisoft, but it lacks the depth and it lacks the innovation. It lacks the evolution from the previous game. And Far Cry 6, to be honest, in my opinion, is running the same risk. You just can't indefinitely repeat the same formula. Now I get it, okay, you have customizable guns now and customizable cars and the map is a little bit bigger, but come on, we want real innovation. I want a game like Far Cry, a world, a brand like Far Cry to evolve, to become something more. And I'm sure people are commenting underneath, oh, you're criticizing, but you're not saying how you could make it better. Well, okay, here's a proposal. Like, imagine a Far Cry game where you start on this island. It could be in Cuba, right? You start in this Cuban city or whatever, and then you have to find this one guy. And you build the whole game up a little bit like, for example, Apocalypse Now. You're going deeper into the jungle. It's much more a single-player, narrative-driven game. You could still have co-op or whatever, but it's the idea that you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into this insanity. Some of the Far Cry games attempted it. I think Far Cry 3 still worked best also in terms of the narrative structure because you had to find like these 4 or 5 friends of yours that were kind of lost around the island. So you had a reason to go into all these places, but you could do so much more. Obviously, I haven't played Far Cry 6, but what we've seen from the game so far very much to me looks like they're just regurgitating the same formula in a different setting with a few minor changes and these nearly cynical gadgets that they're presenting, right? Oh, here's a funny gun that plays the Macarena, right? I'm not playing Borderlands. Anyway, you can put that in. I don't mind it, but if that's a feature you're presenting in your trailers, like a key feature, or here's a cute dog, everybody come, look at the cute dog. Hey, look, Far Cry 6. Let me just hand out copies of the game while you're all kind of stroking the dog. Yeah, okay, you know, it feels cynical, right? Because there is no real innovation. If they would show like a real, reconsidered, rethought version of Far Cry, I wouldn't mind. Put the dog in the game, you know, put the Macarena gun. It's totally fine. But if that's the key features nearly, like, it really feels uninspired. You know what I mean? It's just not inspired. You see other companies that are inspired, whether it's Naughty Dog or so many other companies out there that make games that follow inspired visions, and that's why they work. And especially the show today highlighted to me again how Ubisoft is lacking that. How Ubisoft is lacking an uncompromised vision. Someone like Hideo Kojima, who just makes no compromise. This is what we are doing, instead of running it through 15 committees and 200 focus groups and making sure that everybody is happy with this game. Everybody has to like it. The other thing that annoyed the crap out of me is that they never take any stand or make a comment on the allegations that have been brought forward against Ubisoft. Because it sucks, man. They've done horrible things, horrible stuff happened behind closed doors at Ubisoft. You can go and read up on it yourself. But Ubisoft never had the courage to come forward during one of those shows and set things straight and just say, we know these things exist, we don't want these things in our company, and we're going to do what we can to address them. You don't need to make a big deal out of it, but have the dignity to come forward and set this straight. I know that they've launched like a report that is an internal investigation. Come on, man, you gotta pay a price. You can't just like file some internal report and hope that the thing goes away. The problems are most definitely still present. And then they showed footage of like employees being interviewed during the pre-show, before the actual show started, and it was just so cringy. Because everyone, you can just see they all have a script, and then there was one scene where a girl actually laughed, so make sure you cut that in. There was a natural laugh, right? That's rare around here at Ubisoft. Cut that in there. People should see that we can laugh. We are human beings. And it felt so forced and just the wrong thing to do when you have these kind of allegations brought up against you. It felt like something you would stage if you want to mask a toxic and overly political work environment. That's how these clips felt, these interviews with these employees. Unfortunately, I can't show them. It'd be super fun to go through them with you guys and really look at all the cringe that's going on there. But unfortunately, they're going to flag this video and it's not going to be fun. But I think it is worth mentioning that they never mention these kind of allegations in any of their shows, and it really sucks. They should put the record straight and just show a little bit of dignity. But let's get into the games, okay? We're starting off with actually something that was announced before the show started, which was some content for Watch Dogs Legions. It's like the first premium expansion. It's called Bloodline. It launches in July. I don't care. I haven't played the game. I'm still stuck with the previous one in San Francisco, Watch Dogs, whatever it was called, which is actually not that bad, admittedly. It's bland. It's a dead open world, but you can have some fun with some of the mechanics. Ugh. Then the show started and they opened with Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is now called Rainbow Six Extraction. For obvious reasons. I can totally see the board meeting behind that at Ubisoft where they're like, guys, I was wondering, should I do the French accent? I have to do it now. Okay, don't punish me for that in the comments or whatever. Here goes my accent. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure the name quarantine is very appropriate right now with the current circumstances around the world. Maybe we should come up with another name, something that is more like something out of the quarantine, coming out. You know, being like extracted. Oh, there you. And here we go. We're turning a quarantine into an extraction. So that's how they changed the name now. It's called Rainbow Six Extraction and it's coming September 16th. And they started off with this quite promising cinematic trailer. I was like, oh, that doesn't look too bad. You know, there's something there. Lots of alien references, right? And it really felt like something that could be fun potentially. And then they showed the gameplay and it didn't look particularly good to me. That this is just all reflecting my personal opinions. Okay, you can love this and think it's great. I was underimpressed. To me, it looks like a Left 4 Dead clone. You know, you have some goo on the floor that kind of expands around the map, and when you shoot it, it makes room so you can go. So it slows you down. There are loads of different alien enemies, and you fight your way with your friends through these alien-infested buildings. It feels like I already finished the game, right? It's not even out, and I feel like I finished it twice. Look, it might be really fun, okay? I'm not trying to play the game down. Obviously, I haven't played it myself, but it looks bland and uninspired. It's an exact illustration of what I just said before. I was happy they showed gameplay, though, but then when I saw it, I wasn't so happy, so let's move on. Then they showed Rocksmith PLUS. I don't play the guitar, but it looks like a great thing if you want to get into playing the guitar. I probably recommend that game the most from the whole Ubisoft show. Riders Republic was next. They're gonna get these kind of Destiny-like communal hubs where all the players can meet and upgrade and choose missions or whatever. And the game also gets a September release, which is fun. I'm confused why the game is not called Steep 2, because it is basically Steep 2. That's what it is. I understand, you know, Steep, it was all in the snow, it was all about snowboarding and that kind of snow side of things, but you could easily call it Steep 2. But no, they have to reinvent a new brand and they have to call it Riders Republic. It looks fun, but again, it's nothing that I play more than, you know, an hour in the evening or something. It's nothing that really sucks me in. It's nothing where I think, wow, revolutionary concept. I understand there are going to be loads of players in the map and they show these little screenshots of the map where you see literally like hundreds of dots moving for a brief second. Yeah, I found it for you guys. Obviously, I can't show you the whole thing, but maybe I get away with showing just this brief second. Check it out. There it is. Look at all those dots moving. That's not how a multiplayer map looks at all, right? Let's look at that again. That's really funny, actually. Because all the dots, they're just moving like ants, right? It's not at all realistic, but they're like thousands of players. There it is. Like ants everywhere. It's completely ridiculous. So they're really trying to sell us this game by saying there are going to be loads of players in there. But that's fine. I don't mind it. It's probably going to be fun game, and if it's on a sale, I'm gonna buy it and I'm probably gonna play it, but it's nothing I'm excited about. There is no excitement here yet, okay? We're already getting into the 4th game, which was an announcement about a new operator for Rainbow Six Siege, and actually they showed like this quite lengthy, detailed, animated trailer for the character, and it looked quite cool. I mean, I'm not playing Rainbow Six Siege, but it looked, you know, better than the game. But I found it odd as well that they're like dedicating so much time, because obviously animation takes time, right? So they're dedicating a whole team and people put money into it to have this weird animated movie, right? Introduction of this character. I don't know why they would put time into that. Like, why do you waste so much time in your annual Ubisoft Forward show, the chance where you have millions of eyes on your stuff, and then you show like a Rainbow Six Siege animated trailer that really doesn't sell anything? It really looks like they had like slots to fill. They're like, you know, we have time here. Let's just kind of pay some people to make a cool animated film. Let's put that in there. That's at least how it feels to me, which is extremely weird. Anyway, the new operator is called North Star, and we don't know when it's going to come, as far as I'm aware. Then Recon Breakpoint gets updates. Most awkward segment of the whole show, because the Breakpoint launch was a disaster. Nobody played the game. Unfortunately, Breakpoint is not on Steam, so we can't really look into that and see the Steam charts, the actual player numbers. But I think it's not a very popular game anyway. They're committing to adding new content and listening to the players, all 3 of them. No, I'm making fun of it, but obviously the reason why this game has failed so hard is absolutely homemade by Ubisoft. And it does put the Ghost Recon franchise at an all-time low, I gotta say. I mean, even Wildlands before that was still fun. I played Wildlands. That was a good game. It wasn't brilliant or groundbreaking, but it was still playable and fun, and it looked good. And, you know, the Ubisoft formula of like a big map with thousands of points wasn't like played to death by a trillion other games, so it still kind of felt fresh. They still kind of got away with it, but now they just don't. So I don't really know why they are still committing to Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because, I mean, honestly, who has an interest in this game? Who says, oh, I hope they're gonna fix Ghost Recon Breakpoint? Nobody says that. Nobody cares. I understand it's still there, but there are other brands they don't commit to anymore. They didn't talk about the Division 2 or anything where they could have talked about DLC. No. They talk about Breakpoint, maybe to kind of give it another boost, sell a few more copies. I don't know what that's all about, but it was really weird and cringy and awkward. Then they moved on to Just Dance. Luckily, COVID saved us from like a lengthy dance performance on a stage, so we didn't have to live through that. That's positive. Assassin's Creed Valhalla gets a Siege of Paris content update. Didn't play the game, but from what I've heard, people say it's a never-ending game anyway. Everybody's playing it and never finishes it. There's a lot of content there. So surely this will make a few people happy, because I think it's like one of the key battles where the Vikings took place or whatever it is. But it feels lackluster. It feels uninspired. It's nothing there to get me excited. And then it happened. Then I don't know what happened actually, because suddenly Ubisoft's like, hi, we want to talk about some fresh content coming out of the Ubisoft Film and Television team. And I was like, what? The what? The film, Ubisoft, why do they do film and television? And what are we talking about? It's E3. We're talking about video games here. But apparently they are doing something with kind of Werewolves, some kind of movie or show, and now they have to show us trailers for some content that Ubisoft produces now, making everyone aware that Ubisoft is now also doing movie and television content. where, dude, so far there's zero excitement about your games in this show, and you're coming out with movie. It's a bit like the Xbox show where they're like, television on, and everyone's like, no, dude, it's about games, right? Not about television. We don't really care about TV at this point. And the shows also look completely average. It looked, I think it's on Apple Plus or whatever it's going to be, but it just looked so, again, like lackluster and just uninspired and flat and bland and not funny and not very well written. And it had all kind of the Ubisoft landmarks that we've seen over the years. Then Far Cry 6. People are going to hate me for this opinion, but I mean, I've put it all out there anyway at this point. But Far Cry 6 looked, to me, in this trailer, graphically outdated. They spoke about that they definitely don't want to overpromise, so I think they're going to run it on a PS4 or some kind of the lower-end versions of the new consoles or something like this. But Ubisoft has stated that they definitely don't want to show a game that has nothing to do with how the game finally looks, which is positive, but it just didn't look good. The facial animation in particular, the light on the faces, the environments, it all just looked like the previous game in terms of the quality. There's no real upgrade where I'm like, wow, that looked better than before. And also they showed no gameplay. I know we've already seen like snippets of gameplay from the new game, but they never show us, at least I haven't seen it. If they've shown it, I'm sorry, leave that down in the comment section below with a link or something so I can watch the video, but I haven't found any 15, 20, 30 minute uninterrupted gameplay of Far Cry 6. I tell you why I think that is. Because the actual gameplay, again, is bland, is like what we've seen before. It's the exact same game we've played before, except that you can now customize weapons and vehicles, but you're gonna go to these checkpoints, you're gonna take them over, you're probably gonna climb some towers maybe, who knows, unlock the map, then you go to the next point. Every now and then you have like a story mission sprinkled in, but it's basically what we've played before. There is no real evolution, and that's why they don't show gameplay. I'm just speculating here, right? This is just me expressing what I think, but why haven't we seen a long, uninterrupted gameplay video of it? I mean, again, if I missed it, I'm sorry, leave it down in the comments, but I haven't seen it at least. So what they did instead of just showing gameplay was that they celebrated the actor, the main actor, the Breaking Bad guy, what is his name, Esposito or something? I'm sorry, I don't have the name at hand. And he's a great actor, but I feel like I want to see something about the game, and it was like, I don't even want to say it was a good scene that they showed. It didn't feel intense. I wasn't kind of sucked into it or felt like, oh wow, that looks like a good game or whatnot. It was, again, just a bit bland. Then they moved on to Mario and Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. And we are moving straight on to the nail. I haven't played the Mario and Rabbids. I have no idea what I'm talking about there. So, and then there was the big, there is one more thing I'd like to share with you moment that we've all been waiting for. And we all knew it would come. And we all hoped. Is it Splinter Cell? Right? Is it maybe some Beyond Good and Evil 2? Could it be a new Division game, or maybe like the Star Wars game, right? Ubisoft is working on a Star Wars game behind closed doors, so there are so many things they could show, and it was an Avatar game. Avatar, you remember that movie? Like that weird, flat, boring movie that had like fairly good 3D effects in cinemas. The James Cameron thing. Oh god. The only thing I did notice, though, with that demo is that the CEO of Ubisoft mentioned like that this is running on the latest version of their engine, and it looked phenomenal, right? I don't know if this was actual gameplay or just in-engine footage, you know, that's kind of curated to look good. But that looked good, and that made games that they showed just before, like Far Cry 6, look like garbage, man. Because that was a next-gen game. That's a game that you see and you're like, whoa, hold on, whoa, what's that? I'm not a big Avatar fan, so I don't really care about Avatar, the franchise, but the graphics were outstanding. For the first time in this whole show, I was like blown away by the graphics. And that is not a good thing if that's the last game you're showing. Of course, we don't know anything about this Avatar game except the name Frontiers of Pandora. Is it Frontiers of Pandora? But is it going to be like a round-based battle game where you basically play every round in a different map in Pandora, humans versus blue creatures, and it's like a deathmatch type of game? Or is it going to be a story-driven single-player game? We don't know at this point. I looked at this trailer, it was very war-focused, and they had like aerial war and all this kind of battle going on, so it looks to me like they might be going for some kind of multiplayer game. And also, another thing to mention in this whole show is that Ubisoft is generally planning to go much more free-to-play with a lot of titles. So a game like this shouldn't be single-player then, right? It should be multiplayer, maybe free-to-play in some kind of spec-down version or something. And then you have these big multiplayer battles in the Avatar universe, and Ubisoft hopes that that's going to be a huge free-to-play success. Of course, I'm just speculating. It might as well be a story-driven single-player game, but it didn't look to me like it might be one. But anyway, it was not a good last moment, right? It was not a good, hey, there's one more thing moment. It felt, oh man, like so much was missing, man. Where's the Splinter Cell game, right? Everyone was waiting for Beyond Good and Evil 2. I know, it's a game we don't hear much about and all that, I get it. But no Rayman, right? I said it before, no Division. The Star Wars game everyone's talking about. I mean, show us something. These are such easy buttons to press for Ubisoft, okay, to make a difference and to get people hyped by just showing a tiny teaser, but they chose not to do it, and it was really disappointing. I mean, to be honest, these shows are mostly disappointing every year, but I felt this one just left me puzzled nearly. Like, what is Ubisoft doing? But what are your thoughts? Are you hyped about any of those games? Did you enjoy the show? Do you think it was good? Did you have fun? Leave any of that down in the comment section below. I read all the comments and I really appreciate each single one of them, and I try to reply to as many as I can. So thanks to everyone who's been commenting, who's leaving their thoughts, who's been engaging with the videos. You guys are really great, and even the community is very small at this point. I still appreciate each single one of you guys, and I'm gonna try to do more live streams so we can interact a bit more and can try to get kind of a community going. But bring your friends. Tell your friends about this channel. I'd appreciate that if we see some of your homes coming here as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash a like, hit the subscribe button, do the bell things, and I see you in the next one. I'm out. Bye.